Hawkeye, episode 6, titled So, This is Christmas, which is the final episode of this event series. And here's the thing, as much as a fan of the MCU, this might be the first ever Marvel MCU, proper MCU related thing that I'm like, I would say a couple of episodes and there's bits and pieces here and there. This might be the weakest thing that Marvel Studio has produced. Now, some people say, well, what about Thor the Dark World? Well, I think I like Thor the Dark World, but what about Captain Marvel? What? I really enjoyed Captain Marvel. Iron Man 2, really enjoyed Iron Man 2. Like, basically, I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp was fine, but most of the MCU content, I'm like, that's pretty good, that's pretty good, that's pretty good, that's fine, that's good, but nothing that I'm like, about. Because this series, the best episodes, sadly, weren't the character stuff. It's the action episodes. And naturally, it being the final episode, and it's a superhero show, and it's a comic book show, and it's a Marvel show, well, what do you think it's going to be? It's going to be a good old bing, bam, boom, explosions left, right, and center. People will say, I know DC did their Archer, they did Arrow. They gave him a show. But guess what? We have a bigger budget. Here you go. And yes, the cinematography, the choreography, the action itself is really well put together. Yes, for an action episode, it's really fine. It's really well put together, and we are invested over the action. But because here's the thing, Kate in this episode is acting like the arc that has been filled. Like, she is who they were planning to have her be at the end of this episode, end of this event series. So she can be the next Hawkeye or be part of a Young Avengers movie or show, whatever it is. But sadly, with Kate, they just literally just like, oh yeah, this is our development. She has that development. Has she developed at this point? And for me, it doesn't feel earned. It doesn't feel any sort of naturally the concept is in a span of a week she becomes this spoiled witch kid, but more like 40 but you're 22, you're still a kid kind of mindset. But also, and she grows as a mature, she grows as a person, she grows up, and I kind of hope for the love of God the next time we see her that she is a completely different person. It's the same Kate, but she's completely different. Applying that, she has grown, that she has been with Clint and she has grown as a character, she has matured, and all that. Because, yes, the big thing last week was that Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, who is played by Vincent D'Onofrio, who played Kingpin Wilson Fisk in the Daredevil Netflix show, is back properly into the MCU. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of neat. And plus, what happens in Spider-Man, that's also a kind of cool thing. With, knowing how big the movie made, I could say Daredevil was in Spider-Man, okay? Daredevil, Matt Murdock was Peter Parker's lawyer. You got that? Okay, spoiler alert on that part. But, and that was a cool aspect of it. And I still say it. For me, I was more excited seeing Charlie Cox's Daredevil more than Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. And I really enjoy Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. And he does feel like he hasn't left. It clearly is a different Kingpin, because this Kingpin's a little more classic Kingpin. He's a little bit more bigger. He's a little bit more heftier. He's a little bit of the fat man that the characters know from the comics. And they make him big enough so he doesn't feel that he doesn't go ridiculous. Because having Kingpin, who's known for, fighting his belly with Spider-Man and Daredevil, it's kind of, you can kind of make him like stupidly obese and make it all the fat is muscle, but but then they show his strength, they show how powerful he is, and spoiler for the very end, you don't kill Kingpin. You don't set up a big bad villain such as Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, or reintroduce or soft rebooting the character without having him face with Daredevil, at least. So they haven't killed him up. But no, so we saw a gunfight off screen. So we don't know what happened. Echo still is an interesting character. I'm wondering if the Echo is going to be like Daredevil Echo or something. You know what? Daredevil Echo would kind of be neat. Think about it. Knowing that, he's blind, she's deaf. Not a bad way to go. I just really want to see that Daredevil Spider-Man movie. That's what my brain is like right now. I want a Daredevil Spider-Man movie. But this season, this series is the weakest. There's certain things in this episode they assume happened and with characters. The Elena stuff I knew would just be like a conversation, a couple beats and a conversation, and then talk about could Clint actually go in detail about like, we went on this planet and this creepy stole guy said we must sacrifice a soul that we loved, and she chucked herself over the bridge. Or the Watcher, can you show Elena Endgame for us? Can you? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, hopefully whatever's the next show, if it's She-Hulk, if it's Miss Marvel, I think it might be Miss Marvel, knowing they said summer of next year, or Moon Knight, or Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion? No, it's or all these other, because they did like a 2022 coming out thing. So, or the guys get Iron Groot, or the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, whatever it is that they're able to prove, because it feels like we're having a bit of a break from Marvel shows. We're going to have like a couple Star Wars stuff coming out. So, I just, for the last MCU related thing of the year, not a good way to end it off. But for an episode as itself, as like a teen episode, I enjoyed it. It was fine. It was good. Just come on, get back to the MCU quality, because you had WandaVision, which was fantastic, and then it's kind of dipped. Like Falcon Winter Soldier was pretty good. Just WandaVision was on another level, and Loki was fine, and now dipping with Hawkeye, because I'm not including What If, because What If is its own little thing. Even with the Doctor Strange trailer, clearly they're crossing over some What If stuff for evil Doctor Strange, but yeah, it's just a pretty good action episode, but as a series as a whole, kind of weak for me, pretty weak.